think about situations you have in your life that maybe day in, day out, they never change, or the same thing over and over again. Do you take the time to evaluate them and decide whether or not they still suit you? Do you take the time to figure out, hey, I should probably be doing something else, or would something else make me more happy and more gratified and more fulfilled? Do you take that kind of time? Hey everybody, this is Gregory Paul Kotsaftis of the Pitching the Truth podcast. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Hello, and welcome to Pitching the Truth. My name is Gregory Paul Kotsaftis. It's been a long time. I've been offline now for about a month. I greatly apologize for that, but I found that life has gotten in the way a little bit. I've been trying to do some different things, and at the end, I've come to realize that probably what's most important for me and for you is for me to continue to share all the different experiences I've had with life regarding family, friends, children, finances, all those different things. So today I wanted to share with you some things that I found to be quite interesting, mainly related to my father. I had a long conversation last night with my brother. We talked about different things that have happened in our lives, and my father he's trying to clinging to his business. He's trying to hold on to his business with all of his might because he feels like that's his identity. That's what's most important to him, is that he's known as being the owner and operator of this business. And I think it's a little bit it's hard to explain, but he's struggling. Let's put it this way. He's behind on his rent. He's struggling. He can barely make this thing work. And he continues to do the same thing over and over again, but he's not getting any different results, which we all know is the definition of insanity. So my brother and I were talking about why it is that maybe this is so important to him. And we came to realize that he's had a lot of major setbacks in his life. He got laid off in his mid-50s. He started this business. It did pretty well right out of the gate. He created it out of nowhere and started selling used monitors. Remember those things, those big tube monitors? We're talking in the 90s, before they had flat screens. All of you folks out there looking at your flat screen computer or your little nice, beautiful laptop, think about when they had those big, obnoxious tube monitors that took up your whole desk. Well, he used to go out and buy those from different businesses. He'd go out and clear out all their inventory because they'd go out and find new inventory. And he would do really well because he'd fix them up, sell them again, and make a good profit. That was his new little business he created. And then he eventually morphed into a little used computer business, which he still has now, which has done fairly well early, but lately has not been doing well at all. So that was the first thing he did. He lost his job, and that was very traumatic. My brother remembers it vividly, the day that he came home with the customary cardboard box full of your shit when you leave work, and how distraught he was. And he also brought up, he's like, literally, he sat on the couch for 2 weeks watching Oprah, like just was depressed, didn't know what to do with himself, and he's had a rough life. It's not been easy for my dad, that's for sure. So he eventually bounced back and started this computer business, and then roll forward, 5-6 years, and he had one of his really good friends. Like, picture your best friend, somebody you spend the most time with. For me, that would be David Wygant. He's my buddy. Like, I've known him for 25 years. And picture your friend just dies. Literally, his friend was in a rocking chair reading at his house. He's not too old. I was going to say probably in his 60s. And he just had a heart attack, and that was the end of the story. He was gone. A guy you talk to almost every day, and then he just disappears. So that was a traumatic event in his life. And then he had some other personal stuff that happened that I'm not going to bring up here, but he had another pretty major, traumatic, shameful thing that happened in his life that caused him a lot of grief. And I think, although he had a lot of really other good friends and a lot of great support, I think that shook him to the core because, it was related to his business, and he's kind of a figure in the small town that I grew up in. So here we are. He's in his mid-70s. His business isn't doing well. He's trying to make it work. He's down there day and night, from 9, 10 in the morning till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And it's kind of like that old school mentality, right? You just work. You just keep fucking working. You work day out, you work day in, day out. It's a big thing. And where I grew up in my home state of Massachusetts, everybody wants to talk about their job, how difficult their job is, how much shit they've got going on. I'm so fucking busy. I've got so much going on, and I'm just busy. And that's their identity. And I really think that is what's happened to him. And it really makes me sad because, we all love him regardless. It doesn't matter what he does for work. It doesn't matter if he even has his business. To be quite honest, I wish he would close it because I think it's going to kill him. I think it's going to literally just cause him to, just wear himself down until eventually it fails, and then he's going to have nothing, and he's going to be so depressed because he didn't leave on his own terms. So this is the conversation I'm going to have with him tomorrow. That's your backstory, right? But literally tomorrow I will call him, and I'm going to say, listen, you need to leave on your own terms. So that's what I'm here to talk about today. Are you making sure that you're living your life on your own terms? Are you making decisions that maybe some of the hardest decisions you'll ever make in your life, whether it comes to, whether or not you want to be in the relationship you're in, whether about how you want to treat your children, whether or not, and there's more to come with that if you didn't catch that little phrase of a tease, because I'm going to talk about that in a minute, or how you treat your family or your friends or what you do for a living. Are you strong enough to step back and really look at the whole picture and say, man, is this serving me well? And at the end of the day, there's nothing worse than being forced into a decision rather than taking the chance and making the decision yourself. Now, I know this all too well because if I had stepped back, filed bankruptcy, and said, hey, guess what? Economy crashed. I can't pay anybody anymore. And sorry, but I'm closing my doors. It would have been a lot less humiliating than trying to hold on like I did for years and then having it all blow up in my face. So I know for a fact that the first option would have been a much better option, and I wish I had taken it. So that's what I'm going to try to tell my dad. I'm going to try to explain to him the same thing. Like, he needs to take control of the situation, take control of his destiny, and just call it a day, wrap it up, because it's just not working out. So, okay, so that's one thing. What are you doing? That's my question to my listener here today. Think about situations you have in your life that maybe day in, day out, they never change, or the same thing over and over again. Do you take the time to evaluate them and decide whether or not they still suit you? Do you take the time to figure out, hey, I should probably be doing something else, or would something else make me more happy and more gratified and more fulfilled? Do you take that kind of time? Do you actually write it down? Do you journal? Do you think about it? Do you look at it? Lately, I've been learning to trade currency. And while there are highs and lows, because some days it's great, some days it's okay, I never really have shitty days because I'm very conservative, but I'm trying to learn, right? But what I've learned and what I've felt is like my creativity, okay, for example, not being on this podcast for a month has been taken away from me because I'm too obsessed with this, and then, of course, my house business, which pays my bills. So guess what? Rather than waiting for the currency thing to take me over, where I'm flat, I have no personality, I'm not writing, I'm not reading, I'm not giving back to people like you listening to me today, I'm going to take the bull by the horns and I'm going to change it. And changing it means just changing the strategy. I'm not going to leave it, but the strategy is going to be something I don't have to spend any time looking at because I don't have the time or energy to do that. I'd rather just sit back and focus my time on other things that are more important. So ask yourself, pay attention. Pay attention to what you got going on in your life today. And like I said, relationships, business, job, family, any of those things can be shifted. And it's better to shift them on your own terms. If you're in a bad relationship, it's better for you to be the one to call it out and leave it than have it happen to you. If you're in a bad job, it's better for you to make the call and say, you know what, I'm going to make a change and move rather than have somebody fire you. If you are stuck in a rut in any way, shape, or form, health-wise, okay, rather than waiting for yourself to have a heart attack or get sick or get really, really ill, are you going to make a change in order to do something that's more positive? Those are the questions I'm asking you today. Reflect, think about it, and go on. And the last thing I'll leave you with, I don't want you to think I forgot. I had this quite a bit of a shakedown with my oldest daughter, in a sense that I came to realize that she's now 21 years old and she can make her own decisions. Our relationship changed. I had been holding on to her like she was a small child, trying to protect her and be nice and be gentle and not be direct with her because she's my daughter, and I love her and I care for her. But some things happened that made me realize I'm not suiting myself. I'm not serving myself well because some of the things she's done has really hurt me and irritated me. So I decided that we are now on a totally different relationship, and that relationship is the fact that she's an adult. She'll always be my daughter. I'll always love her, but I'm not going to spend all this time and energy putting that into a relationship, trying to feed her, I don't know if it's love or affirmation, I guess, trying to encourage her when I get no reciprocation on my side. So I made the conscious decision that we're going to put it on pause, and it's going to be more of a business relationship right now, because at the end of the day, I'm the one doing all the giving and the pushing, and I'm not getting anything back in return. So family or not, daughter or not, son or not, anybody or not, friend, coworker, boss, you have to make the decision. You have to make the choice. Go out on your own terms. Change things on your own terms. Be the leader. Take the shot and see what happens. And always remember, as something else that I put in my previous podcast, it's okay to be an asshole. You may be hated at first, but at the end of the day, if you're the one that makes the decision, you're the one that makes the choice in your own life, you're always going to be respected for it. And I promise you one thing, when you go to bed at night, you're never going to be regretful because you're going to feel like you're in control. That's it for now. I'll try to be more diligent with this podcast. I apologize for the lack of uploads, but that's it for now, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks so much.